Welcome everybody to the new Filming Daniel Studios 2.0. Man, it's probably just the grey wall that adds a little bit of familiarity, but I've rearranged the posters. I've again rearranged the posters. I got a huge stack of DVDs and Blu-rays. I spread my posters all across the room. I think we can officially say I sort of officially moved in. And I have the 7th anniversary video to pay tribute to that. Man, 7 years. Where did the time go? Actually, speaking of time, I remember about a few months ago, back in May of 2025, I pre-recorded a special review in celebration of 7 years. And in celebration of a very special TV show that had an episode that was about moving. I remember it was May of 2025, 3 months ago. I might come here on a weekend, but for the channel's sake, I'm really gonna miss this place. Let's do one more for the road. Showtime!
The Filming Daniel.
Hey guys, it's Daniel here. Well, this is another big special occasion. To 7 years on YouTube! Woo! Wow! 7 years! Like, how is this even possible? Like, I remember just like, it felt like it was just yesterday that my Lazy Town review, my Bluey review, and, well, my little circumstances with that Jack copyright idiot. I wonder if we'll ever bring him back. Obviously we might bring him back. Well, obviously we're gonna bring him back because he's a major threat. But for today, that is not the case. It's nothing too big, nothing too expensive. Although I never actually spent money on any of my special anniversary videos. In fact, not even my Back to the Future reviews required a lot of money. And judging by the dodgy editing in that video, you can clearly tell. But I thought, you know what? For this video, I thought I'd record this 7th anniversary video 3 months early. So you'll be watching this on the 29th of August 2025, but I filmed this in May of 2025. So, I'm saying a 3 months in advance, happy 7th anniversary to the filming Daniel. So, you're probably wondering, what have I decided to do for my 7th anniversary? Well, by the time you watch this video, I would have been a couple of months living in my new house. Because yes, as it was revealed at the end of my Lazy Town Christmas special reviews, as it was mentioned or kind of hinted at the end of my Adolescence review, and as it was mentioned in my Hilda Season 3 review, I am moving house. Of course, I'll still be getting to see this house at weekends, but in terms of the Filming Daniel channel, this video will be the last one that you'll ever see be shot in this very room. I first started filming in my room in 2018 when I had that little vision of Liam Neeson who convinced me to start this channel to begin with. Obviously, I don't know if that plotline went anywhere, but thank you, Liam Neeson. I really appreciated it. I think get £10 and buy yourself some more guns. That's pretty cool. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I've decided that for this special 7th anniversary video, as well as the kind of end of an era of my time filming in this room, I thought I'd give a little bit of a review of a very special episode of this very amazing cartoon show, Bluey. Yep, if you remember, last year's 6th anniversary special was a review of the Australian preschool animated series Bluey. Now you're probably wondering, what is Bluey? Well, it takes place in Australia in a world where everybody is a dog, and it follows a family called the Healers, including father and husband Bandit, mother and wife Chili, and their 2 daughters, the younger daughter Bingo, and the older daughter, as well as our titled character for the show, Bluey. And it follows the Healers as they go through everyday problems. The children go through the realistic natures of life, but all these characters genuinely love each other and genuinely enjoyed playing with each other and supporting each other as a family. So today, I'm going to be reviewing a very recent episode of Bluey that released a year ago that has probably one of the most effective followings of any Bluey episode, and that is the 28-minute long special episode of Bluey, The Sign. Oh boy, this review is going to be a tough mountain to climb, so grab your glasses of water with very special fancy straws, and let's take a look. So, the premise of the special episode of Bluey known as The Sign is that it follows Bluey, Bandit, Chili, and Bingo, who are just about to have their house sold. Yep. They're moving house, and Bluey is very unsure and not very grateful to the idea of moving house. Plus Chili is very unsure herself. However, while this moving house plan is happening, we also have the very exciting and very happy wedding going on between Bandit's brother Brad and Chili's friend Frisky. And there's a little bit of complication in the wedding, as well as still the idea to move house. And it basically follows the Healers as they decide what's the best way to go, but what the unknown future of their moving house decision will end up. Now, as I said, this episode was a very, very well-known episode when it first came out. A lot of people were like, oh my goodness, there's going to be a 28-minute long episode of Bluey compared to the 7-episode format. That's like 4 times an episode. And people were very excited. Man, this is going to be a very special episode of Bluey, so let's see what they brought to the table. But what people didn't expect is that they were not expecting to actually cry at this episode. Yes, a lot of Bluey fans, and even adult fans as well, actually shed a tear during some scenes in this episode. And I was like, this episode's getting a following. So I thought, you know what, just to, get ready to watch this episode, I binge-watched Bluey, and that's how I ended up reviewing the show when I did it in my 6th anniversary special, but I did watch The Sign when it first came out in April of 2024. which was around the same time when I finished binge watching Bluey. So, I thought that for this video, this would be the perfect episode to review in celebration of me moving my YouTube reviews out of this room and into my new house. And this is also an episode that is also about moving house. So, I did a few watches of this episode to get a good idea of what I wanted to say for this video. It might not be the most I could say, but it is my own personal opinion on this episode. And I have to say, guys, this is one of the most powerful, beautiful, relaxing, and just enthralling episodes of Bluey I've ever seen in my life. And it's probably one of the top 10 best Bluey episodes in my opinion, because this episode absolutely captivated me from beginning to end. So, let's get into the sort of detailed review of this episode without giving too many spoilers. Of course, our regular characters are just as wonderful as always. Bandit and Chili are still beautiful role models as parents. They're still entertaining when they get into comedic situations, but they can also be very humble and very down to earth when it comes to dramatic scenes. Bluey and Bingo are still adorable, and although Bluey's comments about moving house might be a little bit okay, it's not like that, but you can understand why she feels this way, because this home means so much to her. In fact, come think of it, the house itself, as one YouTuber said, is kind of a fifth member of the Healer family, in terms of Bluey, Bingo, Bandit and Chili. It kind of is a character in and of itself, the house, because nearly every episode takes place in this house, and nearly every episode is about the Healers having their many adventures, or imaginary adventures, in this very house. So it's kind of a fifth character of its own, which I really liked, and it really made me appreciate the house a bit more, and was okay, it might be hard to say goodbye, but will we move? Will we stay? Who knows? But I was very man, this is kind of a bit of an end of an era kind of scene, because it is a very monumental place for the Healers to live in. We also have Uncle Rad and Aunt Frisky, who are two of the main centre characters in this episode, because their wedding is one of the biggest plot lines of this episode. And the complication that goes on with the getting ready for the wedding is very understandable on both ends, both Rad and Frisky, because Frisky has a little bit of a nervous side to what's going on and what ideas Rad has about their future, and you can definitely understand where she's coming from, and you can totally connect, especially if a certain part of your life, including a location that you live in, it means so much to you, and a friend moving away means so much to you as well. So I totally understand Frisky's nervousness, but also unsurety about what's going on. But you can also understand where Uncle Rad is coming from, because he also has a certain place that he has an idea for, but it meant so much to him, but he wonders, is it the best idea? Because he wants to put his potential wife first. And I definitely loved the ideas about the importance of communication in this couple. Of course, Muffin is still hilarious as always too. She always yells out big expressions and big loud movements, and it made for some of the episode's most hilarious moments. But as for other characters, well, there's not much I can say about them without giving too much away or a lot to say. But this ensemble cast of wonderful characters really adds to the emotional depth of potentially leaving them behind in this episode, which I loved, especially what they did with Calypso, because Calypso, in my opinion, gives a very wonderful speech about a moral or a message of this entire episode. And without giving too much away, one of the main morals of this episode includes the words, "We'll see." And without going into too much detail about what this message is intending to say, I think it was very wonderful, and it can really connect to me, because I'm unsure about things, but maybe some things are good, maybe some things are bad. I guess I'll see. Which I really admire Calypso in that moment, and Megan Washington did a fantastic job voicing her. Of course, Dave McCormack and Melanie Zanetti are still wonderful and charming as Bandit and Chili. And also we have, I forgot what her name was, but she's a very well-known actress who voices Frisky. I knew her name. I'll put her name right here. But she played one of the characters in the Joe Thomas comedy movie, The Festival. and I think she did a fantastic job in this episode as well. And even though we don't know the names of the young actors or actresses who plays the kids, which I respect because it gives the kids their space without getting cameras shoved in their face every 24/7 or not even knowing what they are, they still give some well-performed vocal performances when it comes to comedy and, again, drama. Like, hearing a child having, like, so many dramatic things to say is very heartbreaking, and I think the actors did a fantastic job with that. Now, this is one thing that is pretty much relevant in every single Bluey episode, but I think has a very effective state in this one: the animation and the visuals. Of course, this episode still has the same kind of flash animation as the rest of the show, but that's not a problem at all because this animation is as wonderful and genuine as always, because a lot of the characters still have their over-expressive but still very humble and adorable designs, where you just want to grab these characters and just give them a hug like, oh my god, I love you so much! But the visual backgrounds and settings in different scenes of this episode really makes for some of the show's most iconic shots. Like, there is a shot near the end of this episode, like right at the end. It's so, like, fuzzy and so, like, emotionally presented that it really is one of the greatest shots I've ever seen. Probably one of the top 3 best shots I've ever seen in a Bluey episode. It was absolutely perfect. Now, as for the tones of this episode, because there are very different tones that episode wants to approach. That is a comedic tone and an emotional tone. The humour of this episode is still as wonderful as always. The characters presented are so expressive and so random when it comes to these humorous moments that it always makes me laugh out loud giggling. And it can definitely make a lot of people laugh giggling as well. However, there might be a few little moments where there are bits of humour that will go over the heads of kids, but the adults will understand very well. And they're so quick that you'd have to watch the episode multiple times in order to get a lot of the jokes and to laugh at all the jokes, especially the ones that might not be aimed towards kids, but adults, which I think adults can very much appreciate and really get into, because again, it's one of the main reasons as to why Bluey is a show that's aimed at preschoolers, but gained a following by adults. In fact, I think adults get more into the show than their kids, which I don't have a problem with at all, because it means that the show is for everyone. But do you want to know one of the biggest things that makes the episode appeal to people of all ages? The morals and emotional depth. There are so many scenes in this episode where our favourite characters are put into very tough decisions that we've never seen them being put into before. We've seen them deal with these kinds of issues before, but they're more for like visually displaying flashbacks or subtly hinted flashbacks. But here, in the current time, we see them go to places that we've never been there before. We see Bandit, like, unsure of his decisions. We see Chili, who we can tell that there's some sort of doubt in her eyes, but she believes that what they're doing can be good for the family, but she always keeps up the best that she can because she loves her family so much and really wants what's best for them. Same with Bandit. They both do what they can because they want to know what they want for their kids is the best thing for them, but they just want the best things for him and they love them so much, which in my opinion is one of the reasons why Bandit and Chili are a fantastic couple and one of the greatest children's TV show role models of great parenting, because they put their all into their parenting, and even when they're exhausted or they don't have a lot of energy, they still put their efforts into everything that they do for their kids. And we see them have doubt in their eyes, and it's something we haven't seen a lot of in the show, to see them being put through these kind of unsure decisions and downer looks that come on their faces, and it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking watching them having to go to these kinds of spots, but they'll still do their best to be the best role model of parents they can be. And we see all the characters having very understandable motivations about whether they want to do something or they don't want to do something, if they're proud of something or if they're doubtful about something. It makes them feel so much more alive and human, even though they're dogs. Like, the whole race of the Bluey world is dogs, which, you know, I love dogs. I think they're adorable. I think that I even have a dog scratching at the door right now. But it puts these characters in very lovely spots, but also dramatic spots, that really their relationships, family bond, and connections can help fix, which there are so many scenes where characters are bonding with each other or trying to help each other or give each other the best advice that really melts my heart every time. Another thing I want to mention before I talk about the last thing I want to mention in this episode is the music. The music is very well done as well. There are so many, like, I don't know what it is, the kind of instruments that they use to create the music for Bluey. I think it's like some sort of string instruments, or piano or string. It definitely sounds very string-like, but it really fits the Australian environment and nature that is presented in this show, and it's not at all missing in this episode either, because they're presenting the sounds that we hear very well. Like some eccentric, childlike energy music is being played for whenever the kids get up to humorous situations or when they get up to mischief, which is, again, always entertaining to watch. As well as like some of those music being used for whenever the adults are in comedic situations too. However, it's mainly whenever the episode slows down and has the characters just observing and processing about what's going on and their character flaws or decisions or unsureties or insecurities, very slow and very tender moments, when the music definitely supports those scenes. That, in my opinion, is where the music really presents itself very well. How it's orchestrated and how it's blended and edited into the scene is what makes these scenes even more like, they make your heart melt every time, and it's mainly because of music, because music is one of the biggest things in media that can really affect someone in some way if they have like a very well presented image that the music is playing at the side. And I think that every scene in this episode with those tender moments and tender music is really well written. There is also another thing that I forgot to mention that I really appreciated and found very interesting in this episode. There are a lot of callbacks in this episode, a lot of references and mentions of like other scenes in the rest of the show before this episode that, in my opinion, is really what makes this episode feel like, I'm not saying it is, because I think there might be more planned, because we do know that there's a Bluey movie that's in the works by Joe Brum, the showrunner for Bluey, which I'm incredibly excited about. I can't wait to watch that. Maybe I might want to be in it, but that's probably not going to happen. But I'm still excited to support the movie regardless. So we know that there's more going on with Bluey, and who knows, maybe a different showrunner will make more episodes. But this episode, I know it's not the last episode of season 3, because we have another episode after this one that is kind of like the epilogue, but this episode, in my opinion, it felt like a series finale. It did. It had a lot of the emotional sentiment of a series finale. It had a lot of like callbacks and references to other episodes like a series finale. And I guess this is kind of like meant to be like the culmination of like the past 6 years of Bluey so far. And the references and callbacks to the rest of the show is what gives a lot of people a burst of nostalgia. Even though this is a recent show, it still gave me a burst of nostalgia whenever they would reference these things that I already fell in love with even when they first appeared in those first few episodes. That, again, makes this episode feel a lot more special and very geared towards the fan base and satisfying towards the fan base of Bluey. Now, there is one more thing I want to mention in this episode before I talk about like either some things I don't like about the episode or I wrap up this review. Let's talk about the elephant in the room in this one. The one thing that a lot of people really love the episode but still have mixed opinions on. The ending. I think that the ending was honestly the most beautiful, special, and heartwarming element of this episode. Again, without giving anything away, without giving away too much, this is the ending that a lot of people, I think most people absolutely loved it, but I have seen a lot of people that have seen the ending and are very like unsure of what to think of it because they felt like it contradicts something that happened throughout the rest of the episode. I have to tell you, I think that the problem with the ending is kind of being put into the wrong area because there is a central theme of this episode that, again, involves the message of "we'll see." And again, without giving away too much, the ending still fits in that category. And after I understood it more, and after I realised it more, after watching videos and hearing other opinions, but also watching the episode myself, I see more reasons to love this ending. But despite that, I still felt like the ending was beautifully well handled, intelligently put together, and it's all been expressed through animated visuals. No speaking, just animated visuals of the looks of the characters. And the music, oh my god, the music, that, like the song that plays during this ending, made it feel so much more beautiful, and it made me so happy. This ending really did make me so happy, and I'm very glad they really ended up on an unsure note, but a note that will still live on as a very well done and happy ending. Again, we're unsure about what the outcome of this ending will be in the future of the show, but, as Calypso would say, we'll see. And in my opinion, this ending is honestly one of the top 5 favourite scenes of Bluey in my entire life. And honestly, remember when I said that this episode felt like a series finale? I felt like if this was the final episode of Bluey, again, I know it's not, I know that there's way more, but if this was the last episode, and if this ending was also the ending to the entire show, I don't think I would have minded. It would have been abrupt, and it would have been like quick and unexpected, but I think I would have been fine with that. You're probably wondering, you really seem to really love this episode. And I do love this episode. But can I give it a 5 out of 5? Well, I think just like Adolescence, I can't fully give it that kind of grade. But it's for unknown reasons, because maybe I can't give it that kind of grade, because it could be because there might be a little nitpick that I'm not aware of. There might be something that might be holding me back from fully giving this episode a 5 out of 5, but really it's no idea of what it could be. It could be a problem with a bit of disconnect between the two plots of the wedding and the sign itself, but I can't really see too much of a problem with that because it's still like beautifully well told with both plots. Maybe there was a little bit of a scene cut towards the end, like the last 6 minutes, but again, I can't really say too much because maybe I'm not fully understanding that. Or maybe it's because there are a few scenes where I felt like they were too getting down on the idea of moving house and saying that some characters are making a mistake and probably not making the right decision, and it's saying it's very bad. Maybe that might be a little bit irritating. But again, I can't really say it's a problem either because, like I said, their motivations and reasons for acting this way are totally understandable and relatable to real life people. And I think that's what gives it even more of a beautiful feeling that these characters that we know and love for years are more alive and human and more than just cartoon dogs. So I can't exactly give the episode the best grade I wanted, and I guess those two might be a bit of a nitpick and maybe a problem that might hold it back a little, but I think despite those two things, I love Bluey the Sign. It was an amazing combination episode and a great like experimental episode to see how much story you can get in 28 minutes. And in my opinion, the length was very well justified. It gave me just about nearly everything I wanted. And you know what? They did right by these beautiful characters. They did right by the healers. Everything they do with them, their family members, their relatives, the little conclusions they gave some of these storylines, especially a family member of Chili, which I won't give away what it is, but it was like very well deserved and like very like heart-wrenching and beautiful, especially what this character has been through in a previous episode. But I have to say, the resolution they gave these characters at the end of the episode, although a lot of people say it might go and contradict the moral of the story, the real moral of the story that I personally saw in this episode is fitted very well into this ending, and the ending justifies this moral very beautifully, and just the representation of it, it made me so happy. This entire episode, that fell out of the DVD, I'll probably have to pick that up a bit, but the entire episode made me so happy. I'm so glad that this was like a well done written episode by Joe Brum, the showrunner for Bluey, and I think he kind of wrote this as like kind of an ending point in case he doesn't want to do more episodes, because it has been informed that Joe Brum might be stepping out of the showrunning of the show to focus more on the movie, because, you know, we have a Bluey movie coming out, again, excited, but will he continue to do more? I personally think maybe he might want to move on to other stuff, and maybe he'll let someone else showrun Bluey. But Joe made Bluey what it is, and I think that's one of the reasons why he wrote this episode in the way that he did, as it kind of feels like kind of an ending point until we get more Bluey in the future. And honestly, he did too good of a job, because, in my opinion, if they were to end the series on this episode, perfectly fine. I would honestly feel very okay if they ended the entire show with The Sign. Because overall, The Sign, in my opinion, it's a 4 3/4 of a star out of 5. It is a near perfect episode. And if you love Bluey, but you haven't caught up with the show in a while and have not seen this episode yet, I think that if you want to be a fan of Bluey, definitely binge watch the show so that you can get to this episode. And feel free to discuss what you think of the episode and how it ranks among other episodes and other big monumental episodes like Sleepy Time or Baby Race, how it ranks with those episodes. But I think that it was a very well presented episode and one of my favourite Bluey episodes in the top 10 of all time. But anyway, guys, what do you think of The Sign? Do you love it? Do you hate it? And what's your favourite episode of Bluey? Let me know in the comment section below. Well, I think, now that we've gotten that said and done, I guess to close out this review, I will say this. It might be pretty sad to see my videos being shot in a new location. It might be sad that, well, I've been filming in this room for 7 years, and, well, who knows what the future will bring with, like, the new room and how it will look, how my busy schedule will be if I'm going into a next stage in my life, but also the new adventures that might await for me when the new house is in order, and when my new room is in order, and I can't wait to show it off to you guys and get it all decorated, and it will be the new, like, Filming Daniel studio, I guess 2.0? But it's hard to say, because the first time you saw my room in the Filming Daniel channel, it was all blue with lots of posters all over the place, but then it got repainted in 2020, and then it got this grey background. So, I guess it's time to say goodbye. I mean, in real life I can come to this house at any time during weekends, but in terms of like the Filming Daniel channel being filmed in this room, I think I should definitely give it the send-off it can get. So, without further ado, I'm going to get on with the epilogue of this review. But happy anniversary to the Filming Daniel channel. But let me just explain. I think that the movies that I love and the shows that I love and the personality that I have, I will always continue to carry on, no matter where I am or what future I have. I always keep my priorities straight in keeping who I am and carrying the things that I love most with me in these adult times. And honestly, that's one of the things that a lot of you can very resonate with, and I definitely would give the best advice to. If you think that in your life, you think that the future of your life in a new location, in a new job, or at a new age requires you to give up the things that you love when you were younger, or the things that you still love in life but you might have to give up in order to blend in or get out of your comfort zone, let me say this. Carry that comfort zone with you at all times. Maybe a lot of seriousness is being taken into your new job, which definitely take a lot of like future decisions seriously, but you are always free to go back and look at the things that make you happy and still remain who you are, and just, I guess, just see what the new times take you. Just take as much time as you need. Like, I don't think the future really is like a justified and already known area in your life, because the future holds many unknown things. So I guess the now is really the most important time. And right now, I guess we'll see what happens. It could be bad, it could be good, but we'll see. But always remember to keep your passion, dreams, and feelings, and true feelings and emotions alive, no matter where you are or what future might behold for you. Just carry yourself with you at all times. I know that might have been a little bit of a sappy message, maybe a bit of a corny message, but it's just something I thought I'd try and say. Now, again, feel free if you disagree with this message or you agree with this message. I guess this is just what I have to say. But I do understand that maybe a bit of change is good, but you're always free to balance that out with what you love most. So, without further ado, let's say the final catchphrase in this room and get ready to start saying them in a new room. I'm Daniel, reviewing movies, TV shows, and doing videos. Getting ready to see what the future will bring for me, while still focusing on the now. Till then, peace out, man.